It's kind of common parlance now to just refer to the Malice at the Palace. We all know what it is. It's shorthand for the brawl between the players and the fans. But when you really stop to think about it and you really stop to digest it and you really go inside of it, it's truly mind-boggling that that happened. That it's one of those sports events that you can't really quite come to grips with that happened. I mean, honestly, that happened in 2004, which is now 17 years ago. And it was insane for the moment. But if it happened now with social media and cell phone cameras, footage of everything, and instantaneous reaction to everything, and even being blown out of proportion more and more and more and more, the idea of stars in the NBA, these are not bench warmers. These were starting players on an NBA finals caliber team, which went into the stands and began swinging at fans, and fans swung back, and some fans came onto the floor to try to one-on-one fight players, is almost impossible to reconcile. You know, watching the footage again, and of course, I've seen it a million times, but you just, again, you kind of just process it as, yeah, the Malice of the Palace. Yeah, that was the time when Ron Artest and Steven Jackson fought the fans. I mean, yeah. And then you really stop and look at it, and it's such a perfect storm. It is the incredibly volatile Ron Artest, who, by the way, had taken time away from the Pacers that season earlier to work on his rap album during the season. It was Steven Jackson, who obviously was an incredibly volatile hothead. It was Jermaine O'Neal, who had also this kind of other side, this reactionary side. There was a good Jermaine and a bad Jermaine. And these three guys are supposed to be the final pieces to an Indiana Pacers puzzle that had gotten close but no cigar over the years with Reggie Miller, Dale Davis, Travis Best, all of those guys that had tried again from the 90s on. They lost the 2000 NBA Finals to the Lakers. They had been in the Eastern Conference Finals the year before in 03, 04 against the Pistons, had been brought together for this is our best shot to deliver a championship the Pacers never won and that Reggie Miller has never enjoyed. And you are counting on those three guys. It's November, middle of November. They had just come off Pistons-Pacers 6-game brutality in the Eastern Conference Finals the year before, where the Pistons had won in 6 and then gone on to beat the Lakers in the NBA Finals. And Jackson was supposed to be the final piece. And here they are at war again on national TV, on ESPN on a Friday night with Mike Breen in the house. And they hate each other. They all hate each other. The Pacers hate the Pistons hate the Pacers at a time of the NBA where you really could clothesline a guy. These were the years where final scores were in the 70s in the NBA Finals. And the Pacers go into the Palace at Auburn Hills. And they whoop up on the defending NBA champs. And they want to prove a point. You got us last year, but this year's a different story, and we are ready to rumble. And now we got Steven Jackson. And the Pacers are leading that game with just seconds to play by double digits. And Jamal Tinsley tells Ron Artest, you can go get your foul now. You can go get your foul now. In other words, you've wanted a hard foul all night long. Well, you can do it now because we got this game wrapped up. And that puts Artest into a frenzy. He ends up hard fouling Ben Wallace in a meaningless play from behind. Wallace, after getting the tomahawk chop to the back, freaks out and pushes Artest, and then it's on. And Artest, which this now sparks the mini melee between the two teams, goes to the scorer's table and lays on his back on the scorer's table as the melee's unfolding in front of him between the players. He puts his two hands behind his head and leans on the scorer's table like it's his therapist's couch, and admits as much, that he had been going to therapy and in the middle of altercations had been taught to count to 5. He is on the scorer's table, legs splayed apart, hands behind his head, counting to 5, which of course the Pistons take as the ultimate sign of disrespect. And now the fans are also whipped into a frenzy. It's at this point where the two teams can't be separated. And then ultimately, a water bottle or a beer, some type of liquid gets thrown from the stands. As Artest is lying on his back on the scorer's table, and now it's on. Artest flips the bleep out, goes into the stands, and confronts that guy and starts swinging. And now you have got players in the stands fighting fans. Fans are now getting into a brawl with all of the players and then streaming onto the floor. Jermaine O'Neal and Steven Jackson snap into action. They're like, oh, it's on. And now fans are fighting players and players are fighting fans. Ultimately, as the Pistons and the Pacers get shuffled off of the floor as security is completely overwhelmed. Security is interviewed in this film and says we had 3 security guards. As we're getting completely overwhelmed, it's assistant coaches and staff members that try to shuffle them out. One of the security guards comes in and tries to mace Ron Artest. Reggie Miller's going to be like, no, don't mace him. Mace the fans. The guy almost maces Reggie Miller. Says, I didn't know who he was. Security guard at a Pistons game. Didn't know Reggie Miller. Almost maced Reggie Miller in a suit and a hand cast. He wasn't playing. Hand was broken. They finally get him in the tunnel, and dozens of fans are just throwing water and beer and soda all down at all of these guys. I'm telling you, I'm watching it going, I can't believe this was real life. And I watched it. I was in a hotel room that night watching that melee. And I remember going, I can't believe this is happening 17 years ago. And 17 years later, as a part of this documentary, I said, I can't believe that happened.